Well, welcome everyone. And we actually have a fair amount to cover tonight. First of all, though, for those of you that know Alice Jensen, and that's probably all of you, almost all of you anyway, she is having severe health issues. She's been in for the last 2 months. She's been in the hospital for a few weeks. Then she went to rehab for about 6 weeks. And now she's been transferred to a memory care facility in Indianapolis, which is only 5 minutes away from her son's home. So she'll be residing up there for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Um, Her orchids, they're not going to try and maintain the greenhouse without her. There's no point in it, really. So the orchids have been rescued, so to speak, by John Crenshaw and a team of orchid enthusiasts from the Middle Tennessee Orchid Society. Um, there are a lot of other plants, though. That being said, the orchids will be, the last of the orchids is to be removed on this coming Saturday. But there are also a lot of bromeliads and a lot of ferns. And I'll be down there on Friday doing a rough inventory of what is left. If any of you would like some of the plants, let me know and we can make arrangements for you to come pick them up. Or I can take them out and we'll get them to you somehow. Okay. But Friday, I will spend a good part of the day in the greenhouses checking to see what's there and what that might be of interest to members. So, but the orchids themselves are gone or almost gone. I understand a few of the specialty ones, the rarer ones, are going to go to the Georgia Botanical Society, and the rest are going to be have been distributed to members of the orchid group. So if anybody is interested in obtaining some plants, especially bromeliads or ferns, I know they're there. Please give me a heads up and we'll make sure you get some. And I don't know, Bettina, did you want to tell those that were late arriving your news?
Okay, yeah, just very briefly. I was recently diagnosed with uterine cancer and survived a septic episode. And I am healing, and then I'll start chemotherapy and possibly radiation. It'll depend on the pathology of the tumor. But I am post-op day 7. My surgery was 1 week ago. I was discharged on Sunday, and I'm walking around really well, except I have no strength to go up steps. But so I'm just basically healing and carrying on with, easy duties like doing the minutes. So, and we'll just see. I'm not planning on to rotate off the board unless it becomes impossible for me to serve. But you won't see me on the trails for a while.
Well, I don't think too many people are going to be on the trails.
Yeah, it's almost the end of the year.
Next spring, maybe.
Got one more.
And I have to tell you that I had the most, because I wanted, because I did the Tennessee Naturalist program, and butterfly counts count as your volunteer hours. And I just feel like I spent the entire summer chasing butterflies, and I had the most wonderful time. So, and I got my certification right before I got sick. So
Good.
That's wonderful. All right. I sent out the minutes to last May's meeting. Did everybody get a copy and have a chance to take a quick look?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any additions or changes to the minutes?
No.
That being said, I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes, Louise.
Thank you. And Dennis, you're going to second it. Okay. All in favor?
No.
The motion's approved. Treasurer's report, we'll postpone that until Kim can join us. She sometimes gets caught up in traffic coming back from class. And this might be one of those nights. There's a big tie up on 65. There's an accident. So she's probably stuck somewhere. Old business, we've got education outreach. Let's see. Shelley's not here for Knoxville. And Susie's not here for Memphis. But Ken, Mitchell, you're here, and I'm glad.
Yes.
Mitchell already, as our newest team member, he's already got something lined up. Or what is it September 24th?
That's right. It's the Master Gardeners Fall Festival. We will be there representing TNPS and looking forward to that. They have quite an agenda of items, demonstrations, exhibits, and so forth for the people who attend. And I've heard it's attended pretty well. So we're looking forward to an opportunity to talk to a lot of people and maybe get some new members and sell some books.
Where is that going to be?
It's going to be at the Hamilton County Agriculture Center off Bonnie Oaks Drive. And I can get you the actual address, but it's right off Bonnie Oaks Drive.
I think that's probably all we need. Thanks.
And I think it's outdoors, so if you drive over that way, you'll probably see it.
Okay.
So looking forward to that. And the other items that I'm doing right now is I'm kind of getting my list together of people to reconnect with and to begin to set up some things for the spring and not get behind like I usually do and try to be able to prioritize the ones that we would really like to be a part of. And I'll report on those in future meetings.
Sounds good. Do you have everything you need, Mitchell, for this event?
I think so. And I want to say thanks to you and also to Susie for the materials and the box that y'all put together. I couldn't believe how complete that was. So I think we have everything. The one thing that I wanted to ask the group, since this is an outdoor event, do you typically have a tent that you put your table under, or how does that typically work for outdoor events?
We do have a tent. I have it here in my garage. And if you think you're going to need it, then we'll have to make arrangements for us to meet up.
Well, for those of you who've done outdoor events, have you used a tent, or does it seem to work okay without a tent?
I think you need a tent.
It's hit or miss.
This time of year, it would be wise to have it.
If we find we're going to be moving it back and forth a lot, then we'll get a second one. Okay. But
Okay.
this first time, why don't you use it? And you and I will have to connect at some
Okay.
point between now and then.
That sounds good. I'll get with you offline and we can connect to transfer it, and I appreciate that. We're looking forward to it. All the ones we've done in the past years were indoor events. So this is the first time that we've had to deal with outdoor, no power, that sort of thing. So we're gonna muddle through somehow.
You will. You'll find it's quite fun. You'll learn to look for rocks to hold things down with.
Yes.
When the wind
Think about that. If we have a tent, especially, we want to have somewhere to anchor the thing.
It has pegs. Save some water jugs,
Yes.
the kind with a handle. And what I have done and forgot to do one time was the last time I had an outdoor event, the wild ones and I were both holding onto tents. We were adjacent to each other. There were a couple of times where we almost went flying. And there were some that did, not us, but there were some that did. So jugs that you can fill with water when you get there and tie to the legs
Mhm.
are very, very helpful.
Good.
Because you cannot always put a stake in the ground. Usually where they have you stationed, the ground is so hard, you would need a sledgehammer and that would just break the stake.
Yeah.
So water jugs is probably the safest route.
Great.
Shelley, welcome. You're on mute. Can you unmute? You're on mute. It's in the lower left corner.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Mitchell
Yeah,
was-
this is my first Zoom, so you need to feel honored.
Oh, okay. Well,
About 2
welcome.
years into the pandemic, I'm finally on Zoom.
You'll find it's very convenient.
Yes, yes,
really
I'm a
is.
late Zoomer.
Mitchell was just giving a report on activities for the Chattanooga area. Do you have anything coming up in the Knoxville area for this fall?
The only thing that I'm involved in right now is that Collier Preserve, which
Right.
is a native plant. You've been in touch with our committee
I have,
chair.
but would you go ahead and explain it to the rest of the group?
Yes, Collier Preserve is a new park in Knoxville on Emory Road, North Knoxville. And Dr. Collier left this property, it's about 10 acres, to the city. And so it's part of the Legacy Parks city group that promotes and helps with the parks and improves them. And so Dr. Collier wanted to improve the property with native plants. So that's been the committee's endeavor is to plant as many natives as we can and clear out the invasives and that sort of thing. So we're working on that right now. And I think this area is Susan Sweetzer's old stomping grounds. And so that's why we had contacted you.
Mhm.
And so that might be something for the future. Right now they've got a Keep Knoxville Beautiful grant that they're using to buy plants to put in. We've done a lot of shrubs and trees. Now we're into the herbaceous understory materials. And so we're planning to do some ferns and trilliums this fall, possibly. So that's where we are right now. It's looking really good.
Good, good. Sounds good. I need to get together with you at some point and give you a box of supplies for,
Yeah, I had hoped maybe to do the Hummingbird Festival, but when I went, they've changed the format to where they really didn't have, it was geared more for kids. And they did a lot of activities with kids, but they didn't really have very many stations where people were promoting and selling things. So it's really changed this year.
okay.
And I had done that in the past, but I didn't do it this time.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't know what's going on. It's not much else.
Okay. All right. With that, the next up is the newsletter. I wanted to say, Donna, welcome to the group. So good to see you. You are there. Thank you. You were on mute. Donna is with us. Donna Bolenbach. Is that
Bolenbach,
Bolenbach?
like the musician.
Yes. Okay. And she's put together a really nice newsletter for us. We're in the proofreading stage. Bart, we're going to need the membership list.
Yeah.
And
Now I'll get you a list of the people that get mailed newsletters. And I just need to update that. And then when you get done with the newsletter and it's finalized, if you can just send me the PDF of that, and then I'll distribute that by email to everybody else.
sounds
Okay.
good.
Now the list, that doesn't go to me, does it?
Well, it'll go to whoever either the printer, if they agree to mail them,
It
or
is the
whoever
printer.
is going to mail them.
Yeah, because we now have a nonprofit permit,
Right.
and they helped set it up, so it's really,
Yeah, but they'll need the
really
list.
makes it easier.
Okay, so I guess I'll be forwarding the final PDF to the printer along with the list. Is that what you're saying?
I guess, yeah.
Either
I'll
that
send-
or, well, we'd also need to decide how many copies, and that typically is based on how many names are on the list.
Right. And
Plus,
plus,
I usually add about 10, so we have some extras. I usually round it up either to the next 5 or 10.
I think I've heard from everybody, and Bettina just said that she hasn't been able to do it, and there was one other person on the list, so, and I'm sorry, didn't do my homework. And so I don't have that name, but, I'm only waiting on one other person to say
Okay.
yay or nay.
I wouldn't worry. Sometimes people go out traveling or wind up in the hospital, and you never know. So if you don't hear from everyone, it's okay. You set the
Okay.
timeline for when you're ready you feel it's ready.
Okay,
Harlan kind of proofed it for me as well, and Harlan Alpaugh submitted comments, so I let that be my.
okay, yeah, he
Yeah.
sent me his, and Larry and
Bart.
you did, and Bart, yeah. So I have quite a bit. I mean, there weren't that many corrections, so I got them all done.
Wonderful. Okay.
so Donna, I will try to get that list updated and sent to you by the end of the week. How's that?
That sounds wonderful. Yeah, it'd be nice to get it out by the end of the week.
Okay, I'll try to get that done.
All right. And I'll send you the printer information
Okay,
so that you can contact them direct. Okay. All righty. And welcome. I'm so glad to have you on board, Donna.
thank you.
Our next issue will be in December. So we'll be looking towards wrapping
We
up
all,
the year's field trips with that. And I think we'll cover some material later in the meeting that we may want to add to it also.
right,
Along
that's
with
an
the regular report.
issue is already sort of, there's some things already happening for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome, Sue. Good to see you. All right.
Thank you.
Our next on the list is the native plant seminars. September is Steve Murphy on insects. Let's see. October is Larry. Larry's going to do one on the fall flowers. And then in November, Margie Hunter's going to do a repeat of the one that she did back at the Nashville Lawn and Garden Show back in March, the 1st of March. So that should be, all 3 of them should be interesting. If anybody has an idea of someone who would be a good speaker over the next couple months, I'll be putting together the new list of speakers for next year, or at least the first half of the year. And I'm always open to suggestions. So don't hesitate to let me know if you've got some ideas of people that would be worth listening to. Field trips. Let's see, Larry and Alan and Bart, you've all had field trips. Everything went okay?
Mine's this weekend.
Yours is coming. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll put in a plug for it then.
Well, we're going to go to Decatur County and we're just going to ride up and down gravel roads over where Louise used to live.
Yep, I was down there about 2 weeks ago, and parts of that area look horrible. The clear cutting,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
there's just nothing left.
Not woods wise. But we'll hopefully see a lot of liatris and goldenrods and things along the side of the road. We'll just stop and see what's there.
Where are you going?
Probably down Low Gap Road, Sally Baker Road, then the Low
Yeah.
Gap Road.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Larry, Alan, do either one of you want to report on the trips you've taken?
I could tell you, last Saturday it poured rain all day. Despite that, we had 16 people who got soaked all day long and wouldn't quit. Didn't want to go home at the end of the day. Keep talking and hanging out. Amazing. Of course, the rain had stopped at the end of the day, but we had many hours of rain pouring down.
We did.
The Wild Ones contacted me and rescheduled, so I'm going to do them on this next Sunday. They were supposed to be part of the group, and they rescheduled. I can't do that because I don't have everybody, signed up officially. I don't require that, but Wild Ones does, so they were able to reschedule. But as it was, people seemed to be very happy to do it in the rain.
If I can interject, it was a great field trip. I was there and I learned a lot. So hard to take pictures though, because it was raining so much. But it was a great field trip.
Wonderful. It has been suggested that for next year's field trips, that we maybe get together with Richard Hitt with the Wild Ones up here in Middle Tennessee and do a few joint Wild Ones TNPS field trips, at least in the Middle Tennessee area. And I would presume that probably the Chattanooga group might want to get together too.
That's why I did it with Chattanooga.
Larry, if you want to get in contact with a Chattanooga person and get me that contact information, I could just go ahead and invite that person along to join us when we do our planning. We will probably have a final Zoom session and have a meeting and go over the final schedule for next year. So we can invite them.
I work with that. Trying to think of his name, Dr. somebody. He's a medical doctor.
Dr. Eshel Growth.
Yes, thank you, Dennis.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to pronounce that one.
3 trips with him this year and 2 or 3 last year. So yeah, he's very good and usually rounds up about 8 or 10 out of Chattanooga to come on his trips. And so yeah, that would be a good combination.
Okay, well, we'll invite them to join in on our planning session. And I will kind of let you know right now, I'm going to try to come up with a weekend trip down to the Glades in Alabama. Several people have said that would be one of their bucket things that they wanted to do. So we're going to try to work with that. So Dennis, I'll probably need to get Jim Allison's contact information so that I can pick his brain. He may even want to join us and come up with places to go down there. I've been, but it's been a while.
He mentioned, we're doing a week's trip around from Tennessee and Georgia and Alabama. And he was talking about after we've finished with Alabama, making a stop in Covert County. I think that's just south of Tuscumbia. And so that might be one area that at least I know he's familiar with that.
Well, that Colbert County is where that Cane Creek Canyon Preserve is.
Yeah, but there's also a whole bunch of
tons of stuff
there too. Glade or prairie type of habitats.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be good. Yeah, I can get that for you. And also Dr. Eshel Growth, I can get you his contact information as well.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll probably just send out emails to start with to pick you guys' brains about what you might want to do as far as a field trip. And then once we kind of get a rough schedule lined up, and then have another meeting on Zoom where we can all get together. And that would be when I would invite them, or I may keep them on the email also, but we would all get together for a finalization
Right.
schedule.
I got of course, as you probably know, Mary Priestley's husband passed away
Mm,
a month or two
Oh.
ago.
Yeah.
And Todd sent me the obituaries, how I found out. So anyway, I got a note from her about a week ago saying that if we wanted to reconvene our meetings at her place, she would be, as she put it, she's open for business if we wanted to do that. I kind of hate to trouble her with that, but I just throw that out that she mentioned that in her little note to me.
Well, I mean, she might enjoy everybody coming down. I'll reach out to her and see what she says.
Okay.
And what would be a good date for her? It would be probably, toward the beginning of December.
Would somebody send me Mary Priestley's address?
The only address I had for Mary was from Sewanee, from the university. So I don't know where she lives. I know it's Proctor Road, but I don't have this.
Yeah, but
She moved.
She's moved. I think I don't know the details. She sometime this year when I was talking to her, I was talking about this this little pea thing that's up there. This yellow pea. I can't think of the name of it now.
Thermopsis.
Thermopsis. Yeah, Thermopsis.
Mollis.
Mollis is the one there. Yeah. And I was telling her that besides where we had seen it before, that there was some out there on a back road behind St. Andrew's School. And she said, yeah, she says, that's where I live now. And she says, that's on my road. Or I don't know if she had seen the plant, but where I was telling you the plant was, she said, that's where I live now. But she didn't go into any detail. I don't remember how it all came about. And I wondered then if it was, to accommodate her husband who was, having trouble getting around. And I don't have all that sorted out. That's just what I remember that she told me. And so very well, if we did meet at her place, it would probably be different from where we've met before.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So yeah, why don't you get in touch with her and find out what's going on?
Sure.
I'm going to be going up there. We're in fact, Jim Allison is coming in about 2 weeks, and we're going to do a pre-trip, trying to figure out what we think Spiranthes cernua really is. I mean, not all the hybrid stuff, but just pure what we think might be pure cernua. And so he thinks the pure stuff is in the granite outcrops in Georgia. And I say, no, it's really here in Tennessee up on the Cumberland Plateau and the Highland Rim. So he's going to come and check out what we have and compare that with what he knows in Georgia, and try to decide before we get into all the hybrids, try to sort out what really we think middle of the road cernua still is. So anyway, I'm going to be up at Swanee, and maybe I've asked Mary to join us. I don't know whether she will or not. I think John Evans is going to come with his students and help us. So anyway, that's going on in the next couple of weeks.
Bart, keep in mind too that Susie Askew is also involved with Wild Ones down in the Memphis area. So do we have anyone in the far eastern section of the state, up in the Bristol, Johnson City area?
There are some.
Do we have members?
Yeah, there are a few. I would say maybe 15 to 20.
Ooh. There's a Wild Ones chapter forming up there.
Yeah, I don't know any of I've conversed with a couple of people before and kind of encouraged them to maybe, get a little bit more involved with us as far as, you know, coming up with a field trip or whatever. And that kind of puts the stop to everything. Like, don't contact me again.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I wonder if Richard Hitt knows any of those folks up in that area.
He's getting closer, but I don't know. It's the Kingsport. It seems to be more around Kingsport is where the people are.
Mhm.
Kingsport, Morristown.
Okay. It would be nice to get a trip or two up in that general region for the benefit of the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, I went up to see the Tennessee Trillium back in the spring, and I do have a contact there. The only problem with that site is it's really difficult to drive to it. It's like a road that basically just goes through a field, and that's their road to their house. And it would be a little bit difficult to get cars in and out, I think.
What about Roan Mountain and any connections with that?
I know butterfly people, but I don't know how much they know about plants. I mean, we've had trips with Jamie Donaldson one time, and I don't know if he's still up there or not.
Okay.
I think he is. I went out with, when the Georgia Botanical Society had their last outing up there, and I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2017. He joined us for the whole day, and we went all the way out to Grassy Ridge. But I think he's still around Johnson City, but I'm not sure. But he came out with us that day, and so he's still around.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
Ed Shell used to be our contact up there, and
Yeah.
of course he's gone now, and John Churchill, but all those people that we used to really rely on have all since passed now.
okay.
Eli.
Well, let's keep that area in mind also, and see if we can't broaden our scope and maybe bring in a few more people that can help.
I'm sorry. When I was up in Roan Mountain, not this past year, but the last year, there was a guy leading a trip, and I got his business card, but I can't find it at the moment. But I'll see if I can find it, because he knew a lot about the plants, and he may have been somebody you already knew, but I'll just see if I can find that card, because he seemed really knowledgeable.
Okay, good. That would be great.
That's
I'll
helpful.
look for it.
Thank you.
You know, another idea is maybe Randy Hedgepath or,
Yeah.
you know,
Holly Taylor.
Yeah, Holly, maybe. You know, they're trooping around everywhere. They might know somebody.
I just thought of something. Isn't if I say it wrong, Cullowhee, don't they go up there a lot? Don't they have people who are familiar with the plants up there? That's, that conference
Talking
that
about
we
the
just put
Cullowhee
in the news.
Conference over in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And they have people that lead field trips out of there. Wouldn't there be people that are familiar with the plants?
What
In
about
that-
our scholarship recipient? She works up in that general area.
Shelby, yeah.
That would be a good payback.
It would be. It would be ideal. She's got an article, obviously, for those of you that have proofed the
Yeah.
newsletter, she has a nice article in there. But yeah, let's connect with her.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
And then there's Frosty Levy and Tim McDowell at ETSU. Have they ever led a trip?
We've never really had anybody from up there leading trips other than Ed Shell. And he wasn't really from up there though, was he?
Yeah.
So,
He was
Jamie
in
Donaldson.
Johnson City is where he was.
he was in where?
Johnson City.
Johnson City?
Johnson-
That's where he lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where he lived. And sometimes he would take his camper and go up there and camp out for a week or so. But yeah, his home base was Johnson City until he got in poor health and had to go somewhere where his children were.
Yeah.
I think in South Carolina. But
Yeah.
up until then, Johnson City was his home base. But yeah, I don't have any real close contacts up in there right now.
Well, I think we should work on the student, get her excited about doing something with us, and that would work out.
Yeah.
It's a long trip for everybody. That's always been one of the issues. You kind of have to make it a special weekend too.
Yeah. Although there are people that are closer and that wouldn't have to.
Right.
And the Knoxville area in particular.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would fulfill a need in that area, I think. Okay. Anything more on the field trips?
No, I think that's it for me.
At least you've got a lot of fodder for it.
Oh, I always have a lot of fodder.
If we could just get some motion, huh?
Yeah, and get things to grow.
Okay. Next up is our conference for next year. And Kim, you just joined us, but Bettina, we'll talk afterwards. We don't have anything started or any progress made, I don't think, on the conference. Do we, Kim? Do we have any? We haven't done anything for the conference. I've been busy with Alice, and Bettina's been having her own medical issues. So it's not been, the last couple months have been difficult for.
Yeah, I don't have anything on my radar other than you just said that's where it's going to be, but I'm all in, and I'll make whatever needs to happen. You know, I think it would be great.
Maybe we can do a conference call, the three of us,
That sounds
me and
good.
Bettina, and we can
Good idea.
hash out
I
some of the
actually did
details.
earlier in the year, we did do a little research. We drove up and looked at the group meeting, and then we stayed in, there was a, like, I can't remember. There was a hotel that I asked it about group rates, but that's as far as I got.
Okay.
So,
Well, maybe the three of us can get together with a talk and talk soon here. Nominations for election. Has anybody heard of any nominations for somebody to oppose any of us? I haven't. You haven't seen anything, Bart?
No, we're unopposable.
I'll tell you, this is my last 2-year trip on this one. I'm
You
not going to
want
pull
somebody
those
to
6 and
oppose
do
you.
6 years. I can handle 4, but not 6. All right, so somebody's going to have to step up in 2 years, take over. The next was progress identifying the unknowns, and I think we already talked about that. The unknowns apparently that are left are ones that are not from the US, but definitely not Tennessee. So, any additional old business? Kim, would you like to give a financial report before we move on to the new business? We skipped the financial.
Yeah, so I think you said it so funny one time, Karen. We have money, and everything's reconciled. I have let's see, anything. It was just really stunning, the memorials that came in for Susan, really magnificent. And you can see we picked up, since May, we've gotten 3 life memberships. And we've gotten a couple of checks. We got UT Press book royalties, which came in. And again, the dues. So the way that I'm classifying a new member is someone who's only paid $10. And then if someone is just coming in as a regular, and I can change that, Karen, we can talk a little bit more about that.
Whatever works for you, I'm good with.
Okay, yeah, sometimes it does get unwieldy because you don't know. So we're in for the books, and again, just appreciate that this is just since the last meeting. So I haven't gone back to January on this. So a couple $100, and so our profits were a little bit over 4,000. And we bought books, which was wonderful. We definitely needed to do that. Mitchell has a booth. It may be that this weekend. Is it Mitchell coming up? A booth with the Hamilton County Gardeners. And we've really, I think our seminars have just been outstanding and well worth every penny. So we've been able to, support our speakers quite nicely. The newsletter, I think, is like so much less expensive than what it was before. So thank you, Karen, for that. And then, our income is just a little bit under $750. We have $20,000 and some change in our checking account. And that money gets dispersed into these two separate money market accounts that you can see the balance. And I have to just check with Karen about how to do that, how to distribute that. So the education money and obviously book money goes into the book account. And then the other money goes into the money market savings account. And all of our tax stuff, we're square. And I think we're doing a good job with, spending money and making money. Does anybody have any questions?
Have we gotten any royalty money from Lone Pine in a while?
Yes, it did come in, Dennis.
It did. Whatever you did,
We're
Dennis,
up to date.
whoever you talked to, that the check was in the mail, within a few weeks. So,
Well, of course, we were working on, they're getting ready to do another printing, and I'm not sure exactly. They sent us a kind of a file of all of that, and Martin, myself, and Margie Hunter went through it all, and I marked up about 30 pages of very minor changes or just updates and corrections and whatever. I sent those back to her about a month ago, and she acknowledged that she got them and turned them over to whoever was going to take care of it. But I haven't heard anything back from Faye on that as to, whether they're proceeding with it and when they plan to go out for another printing. Originally, they were going to try to do it, I thought, in September, so that it takes about a 6-month turnaround going to China. And so then they thought that would get it here, in time for the wildflower season. They told me that the person in Washington State, that's kind of where their sales office is, that during the spring, our book is the second largest selling book of their whole company. There's a wildflower book on the West Coast. I forgot the title of it, but it's like Wildflowers of the Pacific Northwest, something like that. And it's their top seller. And then they said our book is the second best seller during the spring months for the whole company.
Wow.
And so they should be, getting ready to get another printing done, but I just don't have anything back from her in the last month or 6 weeks. But she's got everything that they need to update what we, what few corrections we needed, and to go on with it. But I don't know what's happening. I might ought to just call her real soon and find out where they are with all of that. But anyway, that's all I know about that at this point.
Thank you, Dennis. Just keep us abreast of anything that, any changes that we need to make with it.
Kim, I will need the report from PayPal to make sure that I've got the people who have actually paid.
right here.
Okay, just send it to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
In regards to PayPal, I think there is now an option for recurring payments. We could probably use that for our membership dues.
That would be great.
That would be, okay. I'll look into it a little further then. I don't think that was always the case, but now I think it is a possibility. So I will check on that and check with our website guy about making sure we have that option on our form so that people can sign in. Any other old business? Okay, new business. There's been really a lot of stuff coming through our info at tnps.org that sometimes it curls my hair. I don't know how else to describe it. But we're getting a lot of requests for, I want to put native plants in my yard. How do I do it? Where do I find them? Who do I go to? There's so many questions, and I'd say, at least half of the email that we get on the info web email account from the website is questions about gardening with native plants. So one of the things that I sent out to you not long before the meeting or this afternoon was a potential new web page, which I would like to add to our website. It may cost us a little bit to have another page added. It won't be a lot, a couple $100. I doubt it'd be more than that. But I would like to do that, and I'd like your approval to do that because it'll change our website a little bit to do this. But it would save so many emails. You would save a lot of writing on my part. On who do you go to? Who do you talk to? What plants work? And a lot of it would be just be links. Some of it would be information, but I sent a copy out of what I have written up so far. There is more to go, I'm sure. And one of the things I'd like to do on that webpage is have a second column and put in it the schools that we've had contact with. The All Good School that Louise went out to. And there are so many other schools that are asking for guidance. They want to get their kids going. And this is a project they can do on the school property. I met with a group of students this morning via Zoom because they're all the way out on the North Carolina border. And it was a group of 7 seniors and their teacher who have a sizable grant to put in a couple native plant gardens at the school. And they wanted to know more about how to do it. So I would, with your approval, with your okay, I'd like to go ahead and add this extra page to the website. And if you have any suggestions or changes or comments on what I've done so far, please, I'd love to hear them. I'm not proud.
I thought it sounded really good, Karen. And the only thing that I would add is, for whatever reason, people think that we're going to help them do these things. I would just put a disclaimer there that we don't work. We don't do the work. We will help you plan your stuff as far as give you directions and here are the links. But I don't know how many times you've seen it that we've had people actually ask us, do we have somebody that can come out and plan my garden? And it kind of irritates me a little bit that they think that we're going to do that. So just as long as there's a disclaimer on there that we're an information only service and here's our information.
So I have a question. Um, do we know any people who are like native garden planners? Like, is this a potential source of income for people? Do we know anybody that could that could be a way for somebody to get money for private landscaping? Can you bring me my charger, Harlan? My computer's about to croak.
That's a really good idea. I mean, what comes to my mind would be a freebie, which would be master gardeners.
Oh, maybe you could get them to volunteer, and maybe there might be master gardeners that would like to be on a volunteer list to come and see the.
Yeah, I can tell you that that's one of the topics they'll be talking about in the festival, is to setting up a native plant.
A consult service.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and that could be potentially, I don't know what qualifications you'd have to have, but because I remember I have a friend who was interested in some native plants, and I was just thinking how nice it would be to get a consult where somebody could come out and and I'm sure you could get, it's like having an arborist. It's like arborists, but I don't know what qualifications it takes for that.
Pandy,
sorry, you can see I'm kind of lurching a little.
Pandy Upchurch has that as a business. That's what she does.
Does she? Oh,
yeah, she retired from TWRA, and
good for
now
her.
she does conservation consulting, and very reasonable, like $25 an hour. I mean, it's just like a steal.
Oh
yeah. My goodness. I've got to get her card.
Yeah. I mean, we could get her some business.
Lots.
Yeah.
There was a company here in Chattanooga called, I believe it's called Botanica, that featured landscaping consulting associated with using native plants. I have not talked to them in a couple of years, but they were into that big time.
If you can connect with them and get their card and let them know what we're doing, then I can put their contact information.
Okay.
I think Wild Ones is only wholesale. He's moved to a whole other level now.
You mean Grow Wild?
Grow Wild.
Oh yeah, Grow Wild. My bad. Yeah. Yeah.
I have another question.
One of the hikers on the when we went to Fayette County, the something hill hike in March, April. There was a guy that was a landscape designer that was wanting to start using native plants a lot more in his designs. He was a younger man. He was probably in his 30s. Do you all remember?
Is that Micah?
Who it was?
Micah?
I think it might have been Micah.
He's been on my last 2 hikes.
Yeah.
He's a landscape architect, yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Well, if you want to send me his contact information, Larry, I could put him on there as well.
I was just going to say that there's so many resources out there for what they're asking for. So the page doesn't have to be anything new. It just needs to be maybe links to resources that they can use. Mm-hmm. The Wild Ones have a lot of literature about planting natives. And so, that I'm just saying, we don't want to have to reinvent the whole wheel, just get those resources out. And plus, though, with the thing about yes, you do want some lists of people who get paid to do native plant design, landscape designs. But a lot of the people who are contacting us are not looking, they're asking for free help. Free. So you want to have those resources to also say, well, here are some resources to tell you what to buy for your soil type or your habitat, and just give them get them started. So that's all.
TNPS has a number of documents on their website too that have their lists divided into the 3 sections of the state with plant recommendations. native plant recommendations, plus a list of invasives. So that's also a resource.
Well, I don't want to volunteer anything right now, but I did for the Florida Native Plant Society. It was a big effort with a lot of people, but I put together a brochure that we actually had 9 brochures for 9 different zones in Florida with the native plants that
Oh,
would
that sounds
grow,
wonderful.
grow in that area. But it was, it was very extensive and not too expensive, but with the printing was fairly expensive because each one was, oh gosh, probably a full press sheet paper folded, and it was all full color. That's something you might want to think about in the future.
Down the road.
In terms of the schools, Middle Tennessee Wild Ones has been working at Westside Elementary a lot. So they can probably give some good tips maybe to add to the website about, what can be done, what teachers, can do with respect to that sort of thing, the gardens there at the schools.
I used to work with the teachers. I was a teacher, science teacher, and then I did work with the teachers on wetlands back when I lived in the East Coast. So, yeah. A lot of possibilities here, a lot of caveats too.
I think though, Karen, reducing the burden of work on you, of course, with the Tennessee Academy of Science, we have a list of volunteer scientists who will come to schools and, do science fair judging and things like that. But the list becomes quickly outdated. And, somebody has to maintain that list. It's the same thing with recommending people. I
Yeah.
think maybe like Bart said, the caveat, we're here to help inform you, and we're, provide a few of these links to people that we know. But the other part of the story too is, really, where do you get the native plants from? Obviously don't go dig them up, but it is a problem. You can say you need all of these, would all be wonderful, but they can't go to Lowe's and get those.
No,
And,
there
so
are a lot of native plant nurseries, and Wild Ones has been very good at cataloging those. And I've been able to
kind of
poach their listings.
poached, yeah.
So, and add them to the ones that I'm familiar with.
So what I'm saying though, Karen, is I want to reduce the burden of work on you, because we can tell you all kinds of things to do and to add. And, then at the end of the day, somebody has to make sure that the page is updated, because once they start aging, they're no good.
Yeah.
I really like what you wrote. I mean, I really, and I could see you having typed that about 400 times already.
No, that's where this word processor really helps. You only make changes periodically.
If everyone's done discussing, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we accept Karen's proposal to go ahead and add this web page. I don't want to put a ceiling on the cost. As a web designer yourself, Karen, you know what would be reasonable. So I'm putting a couple things in here. I make a motion that we accept her proposal and that we don't tie her down with the cost. We have plenty of money to support the development of a nice web page. That just
I second that. That sounds great.
Okay, so I think we probably could move on from this.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm going to your phone. It's good to see you all.
Bye, Shelley.
Bye-bye.
Aye.
Bye-bye, Shelley. Kind of parallel to the webpage, there are a lot of the schools in particular, not the homeowners, but the schools are looking for ways to pay for their native plant gardens or some financial assistance. We have provided probably $1,500 in 3 different grants to Owl's Hill for their native plant gardens. We've provided $500 to All Good School. Do we want to codify this into a grant program that could be available, not necessarily for $500? I would think more in line with maybe $250, and have an application form for them, something standardized.
Maybe you could make it so that you could see what they were, maybe it could be sort of a sliding scale depending upon what they were hoping to achieve. So if they wanted a lot of trees and stuff, or if they wanted, so maybe maybe it could be kind of tailored to what they thought they could accomplish. But I think that's a great idea.
Okay, if we did do it, would we want to put a limit on how many grants we put out each year?
Yes.
Yes.
I agree. And what about is there anyone willing to take a look at these requests and, decide, who gets it? If we've got enough money for 3 requests and we have 4.
I'll be willing to help. I don't think it should be one person, though. I think it should be a committee.
I could help with that. That's something that I could do. I can't do the legwork where, ideally if somebody applied for a grant, someone might want to pop out and look at the property to see what, to see if this is even feasible. But I certainly have read grants before, so I could help with that. And that's something that I can do. That's something that I can do remotely. So I'd be happy to volunteer for that.
Louise, would you be willing to join them?
I will.
I mean, you've already done one, so I know you can do it.
If I don't get lost and you have a wreck again.
Well, if you did it, remotely with maybe a Zoom conference call or something, you wouldn't have to physically get together to do this.
Okay.
But take a look and see. Okay.
So I just for the record, I would be in favor of not making it a lot of money, maybe $250 max. And then there's nothing that says if they're successful, they can come back and apply again.
Exactly.
$500. I mean, we have the money, but it's a lot of money at one level. And if they're not responsible, if they don't follow through, if the stuff all dies, then what was the point? So I think starting small.
And the other thing is that we could suggest to them on the grant application that they solicit matching funds from the PTA, or, so you could say, why don't you invite, PTA is what comes to mind, but I'm sure there's other, but why don't you, or area merchants, or why don't you invite them? You say, we're applying for this grant. If we get it, will you match it? And, so they could double their money that way, perhaps.
Yeah.
And that would prove that they were really committed too.
Yes.
The biggest issue, like Karen, I've worked with schools for 30 years, and it just always warms my heart to see kids outside and doing wonderful things in nature. But if there's nobody who's going to water the stuff in the summertime, just take the money and light it on fire.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many gardens of all types I've helped put in, and you go back in June and it's just full of really weeds, not our kind of weeds, but real legitimate weeds. And so I think we just keep it small, and then so we could all talk, the 3 of us, about that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Bettina, could you maybe come up with a grant application that I could put a link to
Sure.
on this new webpage?
I I have a couple of, it'll take me a few days because I
Oh,
have,
no rush, no rush.
I just want to say how proud I am. My next thing that I have to do is besides writing up the minutes, is I have to write a recommendation for nursing school for a child who I first saw at age 3 when he rolled into the emergency room in end-stage renal disease.
Oh my.
And he has the same kidney transplant. He's 27 now, has the same kidney transplant that he got from his dad when he was 3. And now he wants to become a nurse. So, and I can't tell you how proud I am. But anyway, no, I'd be happy to work on that. And,
Okay.
yeah. And, and you can see, there may be things that since I'm not a gardener, there may be things that I'm missing, but, you could ask them to draw a picture of, kind of sketch out what they're expecting and what kind of soil it is and stuff like that. And, I might need some help from somebody with, but yeah, I'll come up with some ideas.
If you just rough something out, that
Yeah,
would
I'll
be a
rough
big
something
help.
out. Absolutely.
And then we can,
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
yeah, super. That would make it real easy. And then we can always come back with, well, give it a chance to work and see how popular it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then if we need to start putting limits on. Okay. Well, thank you. Now we have a little committee. I love that. And the next thing that I really wanted to cover was, I don't know how many of you had a chance to look at those 2 emails that have come in that I sent around to everybody this afternoon. The one of them just floored me. The first one from Memphis, that apparently native plants are illegal in Memphis, essentially, is what it is.
Well, I can tell you what goes on here.
Okay.
It's environmental court, and all it is if someone doesn't like what you're doing, they go and complain, and whoever complains gets their way. There's nothing about the plants other than it's tall, I don't like it, and that needs to be cut. And the environmental court will always side with the complainer. Doesn't matter, because no one's going to be bothered with going out to check it out to see if it's really a garden or not. And your suggestions of always making sure that it looks like a garden with edging and it's neat, but just a native meadow, if someone complains, you have no recourse.
Ouch.
Yeah. People have been fighting that for 25, 30 years here. And nothing ever changes because it's the environmental court doesn't want to be bothered. So it's all your neighbors. If you can educate your neighbors and get them on board, you're fine. But if somebody doesn't like you and doesn't like the way you take care of your property, all of those things that they were talking about that email, they do refer to weeds, but it's really just plants. It wouldn't matter if it was anything that they bought from a store. If it looks unkempt, tall, and your neighbor doesn't like it, that's the way it's going to be. And I tried to explain that to that person. They know that, and they want us to be able to do something. And I can tell you right now, I don't believe TNPS wants to get involved in any of these legalities.
No, I don't think so either.
That's why I was really about that disclaimer. We do not want to get involved with HOAs or any kind of environmental court, because that guy wanted us basically to go to bat for him.
Yeah.
In court.
And there was a similar one, but not as extreme for Nashville, actually. The one with the wisteria on their porch or next to the porch. I'm not sure which. Do you think the resolution I drafted, do you think a resolution would be helpful? If not in these cases, maybe in others? I'm thinking personally of my own HOA. just trying to educate them.
Well, I think that you just have to basically be your own advocate for your own situation. Because like I said, I really hesitate for us getting involved with anybody else's stuff and them use us as an expert witness, basically. I just don't think we want to put ourselves in that position. I think it's fine for us to put the webpage out and encourage people and put that information out there. But when it comes to the legalities of this, like they made me cut down my wildflower garden, I hate it. But that's not our responsibility to go to bat in court for people. I don't think.
No, it's not.
Okay, this is why I wanted to bring this up to the group.
Can I ask a question? So this is something to do with Memphis, not even an HOA. It's just a code in Memphis, all of Memphis.
But see, the thing is it's not written for native plants. It's written for like unkempt properties and abandoned properties. But if your neighbor starts complaining, even if your stuff is bought, you take care of it, you think you take care of it, you want it to look natural, it doesn't matter. They're not going to be bothered to come out and litigate. They're just going to say, you need to cut your garden. You need to make a lawn. If your neighbors want you to have a lawn, you need to have a lawn. It has to be under a certain height. And that would be anybody's flower beds if they really got complaining against, they got complaints against it. It's a bad situation. But like I said, this has been going on for 25, 30 years here. I have seen it. There's a lady that had a award-winning meadow in her front yard in Germantown, and all of her neighbors fought her constantly. She was always going to court, trying to keep that from being mowed. And eventually she lost. So that's just the way that the system takes care of things. They did the same thing at Neiman Shelby at the state park. People started complaining because they had native grasses in amongst the wildflowers and their native plantings. And people were complaining that it looked snaky and it looked like someone didn't care.
This tells me that we have a big job of educating the public ahead of us.
The public thinks everything has to be cut. Everything, it's like this, the Puritan that if you're not doing it, you're lazy and you're not being a good person. By not cutting or not taking care of a property, you're basically showing that you're not a good person, and that's why people get upset about it. And they want to go to the state park and enjoy the lawn in front of their RV. They want to take their home lawn with them.
I got a letter from Jackson to tell me to cut my lawn. So,
I had a fabulous idea. This would be something wonderful for local news stations to feature, on their little living spot, to feature people who had meadows or, people who had good natural plantings or pollinator gardens or something. It's too bad we don't have any news people here, but that would be such a good way to kind of make people start thinking about that.
Yeah, well, the lady in Germantown was on the news and she was in the newspaper and it was a big stir.
Yeah, but it wasn't, when she was in the news, it was a bad thing, right? Not a good thing.
No, she was trying to tell, I've won awards for this. This is.
Yeah. And they still gave her a hard time. Yeah.
Because her neighbors didn't like it.
Yeah.
To them, it looked like an abandoned lot. That was their argument.
How can they not know the difference between an abandoned lot and a meadow? I'm sorry.
No, I can tell you that there are abandoned lots in Memphis that are wonderful. In the fall, I've seen abandoned lots just covered in asters and, monarchs migrating through.
Yeah.
But to the uneducated person about this, they see an abandoned lot, or they see somebody that's let it go.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Seed bombs.
So that's why I think your point, Karen, was very nice, in that you need to make sure that if you're going to plant things native, they need to look like it's an actual intended garden. It's not, I mean, I'm sorry, you know, your house is in an urban area. It's not going to be natural. You know, you can put stuff in and try to help encourage nature, but a lot of places, unless you've got great neighbors who support you, there's usually going to be somebody that's complaining about it.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people that do.
that's frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
And I live in a rural area, and I got the letter from the city telling me to cut my grass. The next door neighbor over here has probably like 2 football fields of lawn, and he hires somebody to cut it. And I go out on my lawn and I see fireflies and Carolina satyrs and stuff, and they're not over there in their lawn.
No.
Nope.
It's a complete desert. So
Yeah, they're sterile wastelands.
but by law, I'm the villain, so I gotta cut my lawn and stuff. And I cut the front lawn and keep the back somewhat high. And I got a lot of exotic plants, but I'm trying.
That's kind of what I do in my yard too, with the HOA.
Yep.
Recommending all kinds of invasive plants. I keep the front lawn, we keep the front lawn cut and make sure the front flower beds look intentional, but I ignore the HOA completely on the back of the house. And
Business in the front, party in the back.
Yep.
well said. Oh, okay.
Sue, I have to just interject something. I realize this is a non sequitur, but the way your lighting is, you look like a Renaissance painting.
Okay.
I just wanted you to know that.
Thanks. I am on the Florida Native Plant Society site right now, and they have a PowerPoint presentation on how to approach an HOA and how to approach these different entities that are there to basically shut us down. And I'll take a look at it and see if there's some meat here that we can hear it. Homeowner's Guide to Practicing Sustainability in the Landscape, that sort of thing. So I'll take a look at this and maybe forward it to you all if it looks like it would be, something that we might be able to sort of customize and use for ours.
Okay. I've also found that there's a national native plant society. I don't have the name exactly correct. And you have to apply to become a member of it. We are not members of it, but they also, on their website, they have a page on dealing with HOAs and how some states have dealt with it. So there is some information out there about how others have tackled it. I have asked for an application for the Tennessee Native Plant Society to become a member. I'm sure there's a fee to become a member, but I don't know what it is yet. And I haven't heard back from them. But I will keep at that one because I think it would, I think it could be helpful for us. It's certainly not going to hurt. And it might be an organization that we can help to do some national things. Under additional new business, there was one thing, one notice that came around that I thought y'all might like to hear about. TDOT Tennessee Department of Transportation has a pollinator website. And it's on that, I've got the website listed on that new webpage. It's tnpollinators.org. And it is a database and map tool to tell you what plants to put out for the pollinators in that area in Tennessee. Whereas we also have Audubon and National Wildlife both have nice databases according to zip code. This one is a local one from TDOT. And it's a whole program just for Tennessee. And the TDOT handbook on landscaping around their highways and intersections and such stresses the use of native plants. It doesn't say not to use non-native, it doesn't say avoid the non-natives, but it does stress using the natives, which I thought intriguing. So there are some good things happening in the state on that, despite Memphis and other entities.
Benighted places.
So maybe the tide of native plant enthusiasts will eventually overtake them.
I think people are starting to get scared about climate change. I think that's a part of this.
I agree. I agree. It's settling in, and it's
Yeah.
something that people can do. It's their yard. They can do something in their yard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure it's more than a little frustrating for these folks to do something and do it well, and then be told, to tear it out.
Yeah.
It's just, I find that appalling. I don't know what else to do for it though. And I did receive one petition from a group. I'm not even sure where they're at. They're in Virginia. They're trying, it's a petition calling on Home Depot to stop selling non-native invasive plants. And they already have about 40,000 signatures, and they wanted to know if TNPS would be willing to sign. Do y'all think that would be a good idea or not?
Yes.
Yes.
You'd have to take half of what, or more than half of what Lowe's sells off the market.
I know it. Between that and the neonicotinoids that they douse them all with.
Does the petition go so far as to name actual plants, or are they just calling for a blanket invasive plants, descriptor?
They have a listing. It says right now the Home Depot garden centers and website offer the following invasive plants for sale. And it lists them: yellow flag iris, Japanese barberry, burning bush, Callery pear, Chinese privet, English ivy, Norway maple, winter creeper, Kogan grass, Chinese silvergrass, European privet, Scotch broom, periwinkle, Nandina, Chinese privet, moneywort, Japanese spirea, elephant ear, butterfly bush, pampas grass, sawtooth oak, crimson fountain grass, and large leaf lantana. So
good.
Some of those are worse than others.
yes.
The butterfly bush, it helps pollinators. So, so that's a tough one. But many of those
It
others are
doesn't-
on.
It
Go ahead.
doesn't provide the nutrition for the caterpillars.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they lay the
All right.
eggs, the butterflies feed there, they lay the eggs there, and the eggs can't,
They can't, okay, okay, so,
can't develop because
Yeah.
they can't use the food.
yeah.
So, yeah.
But no, that's pretty much a hit list of the members of the dark side, though.
Yes. And that they went ahead and stated with each one, like butterfly bush listed as invasive in 6 states
Uh-huh.
and so forth. So it's not necessarily invasive on the invasive list in all states, but it's covering a large area. So do I have a motion for us to sign this petition? Again, recommending Home Depot get rid of all these invasives. Anybody with a motion?
I move.
Okay, Larry
Okay. Second,
and Bettina second. Okay. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Uh,
aye.
I think the ayes have it. Okay.
I was deferring to Larry because I figured, because I'm not a real botanist, but if Larry thinks that's a good idea, then I definitely agree.
You may not be a certified botanist, but like so many of our experts, this was not necessarily your field of study, but you certainly are knowledgeable. So, and you're enthusiastic. We appreciate that. Okay, does anyone have anything else to add to our meeting? At this
I have a sort of, I'll try to make this brief. I have sort of just, I had a question that maybe I thought members of the board might have an answer to. You know, when Susan passed away, I found myself wanting to find a florist that dealt in native flowers. Do we have such things, and do we have such things in the state?
if we do, I don't know about it.
Yeah, yeah.
You just have to go out in your backyard or on the side of the road and
Yeah, and see, I lived in
Other ones
well,
get
live in an
by.
apartment, so you know, I couldn't. But that would be such a neat niche for a florist to, to have a native plant. I just wondered if anybody had ever tried to do that.
they'd probably starve, Bettina.
They probably would. You're right. I do understand that.
in time, that'll be worthwhile though.
But no, but I mean, you know,
I have
I
a
was
friend
thinking it's like-
in
Go ahead.
Nashville, it's, in the uptown part of Nashville, that the florist shop, that's what they specialize in.
oh,
And
really?
it's, of course, they don't deliver beyond the Nashville area, but
Yeah.
they grow
but,
them. It's
Can
just
you imagine
stunning.
doing a fall wedding with ironweed and goldenrod? Can you
That is
imagine how
fabulous.
breathtaking that would be?
When
Yeah.
Elsie Quarterman passed away, I had her do a
After you-
arrangement for the family.
I know the people with their allergies that come in there.
Yeah, they would freak
Before the
out.
last I knew was said.
Now, goldenrod is not the culprit.
This goldenrod is not the culprit. It's ragweed.
Yeah, and people don't know that. They think they always think that ragweed is goldenrod. It's so funny.
They can't tell the difference.
They've never been taught.
No, and it's up to us to start teaching. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I think for Susan's funeral, some people did get native plants, but you have to, well, you know your native plants. If you walked into a florist shop, you could look around and say, okay, I want this, a bouquet of this and this only, because those are natives. And let them know that it's because they're natives.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea to indicate to people that there's demand. That's a really good, that's a really good idea.
And you could even do that if you're getting a bouquet for a hostess gift.
Yeah, yeah.
Say, I only want native plants, and that would be this one and that one. Because I think most florists do carry a few natives. It's not going to be the majority, but it could be some. So. On that little note, next board meeting is January 10th good for everyone? Or would the 24th be better?
I think the 10th would be okay for me. Either one, I think is fine.
Okay. Kim? Mitchell? Sue? Tom? Everybody?
Later in January is better for me.
Okay. Anyone else have preference? Both are good for everyone else?
As far ahead, I couldn't tell you what's good. This not far ahead from now, I have no idea.
No, I've already got 18 calendars for next year. Would you like a few?
Emergencies don't usually schedule.
No, they don't. They don't. Okay, well, tentatively then, why don't we go with the 24th?
24th.
Uh-huh. And even if there's a bad snowstorm, we could still have our Zoom meeting unless an area is out of power. Like last year, what was it? Alan and Bart were.
That's a possibility.
I think last year we had Alan and Bart missed a meeting because you all were out of power.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Anything else for the good of the cause? Well, thank you all for showing up and thank you for your input, ideas, opinions, help. You all are a wonderful group. I know I don't say it enough. I thank each and every one of you for the time and effort you put in, because
thank
we
you.
would not be the organization we are without you. We would not. And I like the idea of being able to call all of your friends. So it makes me smile.
Makes us all smile.